Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hi, Key. Happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday. Glad to have you here on a Sunday. I know you don't always get to be here, so happy to see you in the chat. All right, I'm going to give it a couple of minutes and then I will get started. Got some thumbs up. Hi, Stephen. Good afternoon. Wellness One. Good afternoon. Linda K. Happy Sunday. Good afternoon. Glad to see you all here. Dr. T, good morning. Good afternoon. Aida, did I say that right? Arnell, happy Sunday. Rosalind, happy Sunday. Glad to see you all in the chat. All right. All right, let me do my intro. I'll get started. I'm not going to waste my time saying I'm not going to be on long because that never works. So, good afternoon. Hello. Hi, Deborah. Good afternoon. Thank you, Arnell. I got a twist out going on underneath this hat and I got to work on it. So it had to be a hat day. I, um, I felt like I was channeling all week I've been channeling my inner Don King. So I got to work on it a bit. So thank you, Rosalind. I appreciate that. I got it. Maybe I'll drop I got it in San Miguel. There's a couple in San Miguel. The wife makes hats, and the husband is a DJ out there. So I'll add her info to the chat. Yes, Linda said y'all start liking right now. Get on, handle them, Linda. Thank you. Hi, Robert. Thank you very much. All right, happy Sunday. Hi, Sadiq. Happy Sunday. Good afternoon. Happy to see you all in the chat. I'll do my intro. So as I introduce myself, I say that my name is Jewel Peterson. I'll just say it. That is my name. But I do say that I built a fancy tiny house in 2015 that that I adore because I don't believe you have to give up luxury to go tiny. And since that time, I have shared my journey to hopefully inspire others who are interested in the movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others in their tiny house journey. And once this goes live, you will be able to find links to schedule with me in the video below, the description below. And as I'm doing all of that, I serve up a lot of representation along the way in the movement because I want us to see ourselves. I want us to be represented here. I want us to be able to participate in the movement and reap all of the benefits for our community as well. And if you find this video and the information helpful, as Linda already told y'all, get started liking the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. I'll pause. If you aren't already subscribed, go ahead. Please subscribe to my channel and then turn on the notifications so that you'll know when content is available. Yes, my inner Don King, Rosalind. It's been I was on I don't think I had paid attention. I pay attention to it every time I get on video. On Tuesdays I have some video chats with a couple of friends, and when I got on video, I was like, oh my God, I've been outside walking around looking like Don King. Um Not, and I don't think Don King, nothing against Don King. I just don't necessarily want my hair to look like Don King. Um, Rosalind is asking, was the hat shop in City Market? No, it was not in City Market. And let me just say, I miss City Market since we brought that up. No, it's a black woman, a black owned business, and she um, has the business in her home. So I'll share I can't think of her name right now, but I'll share the link to her hats. Happy Sunday, WLJ. Hi, Cynthia. Happy cold Sunday. Lena Lee is saying hello from Hollywood, California. Survived the fires. That's absolutely beautiful. We're happy to have you here and glad to hear that. Hi, Mara. Happy Sunday. Hey, Geraldine. Good afternoon. Um, Sadiq is saying, I've missed the past few lives, but I want to say that I'm glad you're situated after your move and that every thing worked out. Thank you for taking us on this journey with you. Thank you so much. Um, just about, well, for the most part, I'm situated in the tiny house space. I still have stuff in here that doesn't actually belong in here. It belongs out in the addition, but until that's finished, we're holding in here and in the pod. The front porch still has some work. I have to work on the roof out there. One of the storms out at the other location took out some of the panels on my roof and damaged my screens. So I still have to get that fixed. But as far as the setup, it's done. And then the room, the add-on, I'm hoping will be finished by end of the week. Well, the construction, the work the contractor has to do by the end of the week, and but then after that it'll still need to be painted, and I do my carpet and all that stuff, so there'll still be some work to be done there, but at least the contractor I think will be finished by the end of the week or first of next week. But thank you, Sadiq, I appreciate that. Let's see, Takashia to I hope I didn't mess that up. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Welcome. North Carolina is representing. Hi, Sabira. Happy, happy, happy. Thank you, Mara. I appreciate that. Hey, Day. Um, okay, thank you. I'm glad y'all recognize I have love for Don King. I just don't want to look like him. Hey, Lorraine. Hey, Cynthia. Hello, hello. Welcome. I see some new names in the chat. Glad to have you here. I am going to mention Lena got us started. So one of our Soul Collective family members, Judy Williams, um, lost her home in the fires in LA. She and her father lost their home. And so I am dropping my Cash App and Venmo because anything you all give today, I am going to send to Judy. And so I got a chance to actually meet Judy in person when I was out in Cali visiting Dominique. Dominique is safe as well as her tiny house is safe. Dominique Moody, is a good friend of mine and I talk about a lot here. She is safe. She's outside of the area that's impacted right now. But Judy, I got a chance to meet Judy while I was out there. She came over to the museum where Dominique was where her tiny house was on display, and she lost her home in the fire. So anything that you all give today, I will be giving to Judy. So I hope that if you have a couple of dollars, and can share, I would hope that you'd be able to. Not through the super chats because YouTube takes 30% of that. But if you want to send a Cash App or Venmo, I dropped that information. And like I said, I will be sharing that with Judy. Or not sharing, giving it to Judy is what I meant to say. Happy Sunday, Gabrielle. Happy, happy Sunday. Thank you, Robert. I'm not doing that, but thank you. Good afternoon. Dark and lovely. Glad to have you here. I appreciate that, Robert. You also know that that is not something I'm going to do. That would be just way over the top for me. But thank you. I appreciate you. So today I've been doing a lot of working on the house, reconfiguring stuff, small things. I'm very, very happy in this location. It's a lot of peace here for me in this location. Takoshe. Okay, I think I said that right. It's Japanese. Okay, happy Sunday. Happy, happy Sunday. I appreciate you sharing that. But in this process, I've been doing a lot of reflection on my home. And for today, I figured I could go through kind of like chicken soup for the soul. Some of the things, there's so many lessons that have been I've had the opportunity to experience, lessons that I've learned in this tiny house journey, and I jotted down a few of them, and I wanted to share them. Hi, Sophia. Um, Wanted to share them here with the group, kind of like I said, chicken soup for the soul is what I was thinking of, and life lessons, not just tiny house related lessons, but things that came out of building the tiny house, out of this journey, out of the movement, and figured I'd share them today. So I identified 10 of them. There are a whole lot more, but 10 was what I came up with. And the first one was, I can and should do hard things. Things that people have never heard of. And so for me, that was relative to the build, but it's also a life lesson. Um, I've shared sometimes, think like a new job when when I've had to learn stuff for a new job, and I'm sitting frustrated thinking that it's not coming to me, or even doing something that I feel like it's not coming to me. I've reminded myself that I'm sitting in a house that I built, sitting in the addition that I also decided that I was building and drew it up and built. So I can and should do hard things. The stretching yourself. Mara sounds like Sarah. Thank you. Mara. Mara. Okay, thank you. Thank y'all for correcting your names. But y'all also know that I will try to remember, but also know that I have um, impact from a mini stroke. So I can't say I always remember, but I will try very hard. Thank you for taking the time to tell me that. Um, so I can and should do hard things. We can and should do hard things. We can and should do things that people have never heard of, because just because no one has ever heard of it, or just because other people aren't doing it, doesn't mean that you can't get out and be the forerunner. So we can and should do hard things is one of the lessons from my tiny house build. And as I share on Instagram, during my build process, I wanted to quit. Like, it was very stressful. It was stressful for so many reasons, some of them unnecessary. But I at several points wanted to quit. But I was also amazed at the fact that this thing that I had dreamed up and it had started out from graph paper, was coming to life. And so and then, like with this move, the fact that the move happened, and you all know that I'm not working right now. So the fact that the move happened during the time period where I'm not working, so I don't have um, the funds that really, I don't have the funds. I didn't have the funds to be spending on a move, but it happened because it needed to happen. It was something for my um, physical and emotional safety from a health perspective. And it was a hard thing, but we can and should do hard things. So that's the first thing that came up for me. Hey, JW, good morning. The other thing is that this number two was taking risk. Think outside the box. Again, doing things that people haven't heard of, or do it scared. And again, that for me is the build, or and changing locations. I think I said I've moved 5 or 6 times. I can't remember. Um, each time it's daunting. This time even more daunting. A, a lot of fear of the unknown mixed in there, but take the risk. Think outside the box. Don't always play it safe. Obviously, I'm not saying do something that um, will jeopardize your physical safety, but um, don't always stay in between the lines in the safe, or color between the lines is, I think, is what they say, or stay in the safe zone. Sometimes you venture out and do some of those things that require risk, because on the other side of that is oftentimes a lot of pleasure and enjoyment, and it absolutely is, has been for me with this journey. Royal is saying, while on the same page as it relates to hard things, 10 minutes ago I decided to learn French in Senegal on a student visa. It feels so hard, but I locked into the entire process. Congratulations, that's beautiful. And then you'll soon be on the other side of that saying, I did this thing, and you'll be so proud. Congratulations. Um, I love that for you, and I'm excited for you. The third thing that I had on the list as a takeaway, or what was it I said? Life lesson, was the prioritizing and protecting your joy, your peace, your wellness, your liberation. And when you're prioritizing all of those things, you're really prioritizing yourself. That's really, really important. And that's one of the things that my home has solidified for me, the need to, the benefit, the requirement of prioritizing and protecting self. My house has served as a soft place for me, um, and as an anchor, even when I knew I wanted to change locations out at the farm, and I wasn't as happy with the location. As soon as I was still walking the door, my house was still that place for me, that soft spot, the anchor. I've also said that sometimes when I'm experiencing things, like some things are have me out of sorts. So like if it's the job that I'm out of sorts, so and I've always wanted to have something that I can count on, something that's good, even when everything else seems like it's out of control. And my home has been that for me for the last 10 years. A healing place and a resting place, a place that reduces stress. And that has been the life lesson for me, prioritizing and protecting my joy, my peace, my wellness, my liberation. And my house taught me that, how important that was, or that is. Um, Charlene says, the divine puts things in alignment that can't be explained or foreseen. So faith and discernment have to be the guide. Absolutely. Um, and that kind of leads into, I think this is number 4, trusting the journey, trusting the process, and then also trusting myself. And that was something that was big in the build of my house. And I've shared, and even, in as I get set the house up in different locations, I've shared how sometimes I know stuff, but in dealing with contractors and dealing with builders, um, they'll have you second guessing your knowledge, or in a journey you're not 100% sure that the direction that you should be going in. In my medical journey, as I've navigated these surgeries and navigated having a mini stroke, I've not been as familiar with the medical process, and navigating, dealing with doctors, and advocating for myself, um, and trusting the process, trusting the journey versus kind of like what Charlene just said, knowing that things are working in your favor when when you don't know all of the things, or when you don't know all of the answers, but trusting that things are working in alignment in your favor, and leaning on that. That is another thing, one of the other things. Number 4, a life lesson from this tiny house journey. And then number 5 is, I don't know why I didn't number these. The beauty of starting over, and starting over as many times as I want to, as many times as I need to. Um, and then with that, the beauty of imperfection. So the beauty of starting over, and for me, this is one that I had to remind myself of, um, in moving my house this time, where I was really, when I wouldn't allow myself to move initially, because I was saying, well, you spend a lot of money to build this addition. It's not meant to move. Basically, I was kind of trying to I was telling myself, just suck it up and deal with it. And then when it became really evident that it wasn't in my best interest to just deal with it, um, now being here and experiencing the joy of this new space, there's so much beauty in starting over. Of course, I still have my house as an anchor, so it makes it even better. It's not a totally foreign journey. I still have the house as the base, but it's almost like a clean slate. You get to start over in a new place, new people around, new area. And that's important in life. Sometimes you really just need to start over. As I always say, dream a new dream. Sometimes you need to dream a new dream, and oftentimes we don't allow ourselves to do that. And my house and this journey has taught me the importance and the beauty in, starting over as many times as I want to and as many times as I need to. And then also, as I was saying, the beauty in imperfection. The There are things in the house, that remind me of. So, for example, I don't think you all can see it. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it right there. So, um, the I'm pointing on the screen like y'all can see where I'm pointing. Right beside the stairs where you see the mask, you also see the side of a door and the handle on that door. That is the sliding door on my closet, on my and that's the one that has the mule mural, um on it. And that, I'm gonna go back. It's warped, so as you can see, it fits snugger up at the top, and down at the bottom, it's as it goes down, it starts, kind of bending out. That board is warped, and it is warped, and I could have replaced it 10 million times. It does have the mural on it, but I could still replace it. It ended up warped because I bought the board when I was building, when the house was in process, and the house was behind, and the board was in the back of my truck, and it sat for several weeks because the build was so behind, from the builder's perspective, not mine. And it ended up being warped because it was sitting, I guess I didn't have it supported correctly. I wasn't thinking about it. And the board ended up being warped. And I didn't have I could have replaced the board then. It wasn't that expensive, but it would have taken away from something else I needed to do, and I was really, really counting my pennies at that point. I could have replaced it 10 million times over these last 10 years. But I don't, because when I look at it, it reminds me of the resilience of me sticking through my build and everything that I went through, and it also reminds me that things don't have to be perfect. It still works. It still covers the closet. I have some hooks on it so I can pull it a little more flush. When during the summertime when it's humid, that's how I know it's humid in the house, because it'll flare out a little bit more. So then I know to make sure I cut on my, the mini split, dehumidifier. So it does help me, kind of with the temperature in the house. There's also the the handle up above. You can't see that. The handle, the ladder that I use to climb up into that second loft. I installed the handle that is up at the top of the loft that you hold on to climb up there, and it's crooked. Um, and I haven't ever tried to fix it because one, I'd have to also patch the hole. Um, and it's okay because it reminds me again, I can do hard things. I install the handle. It's a plumber's pipe. It was hard as hell to get it installed in the wall. I remember what I was using to put it in the wall didn't have enough power. But when I look at it, it doesn't. It again is a reminder of a time and place and a struggle that I was in at that point. And it also is a reminder how far I am away from that struggle and how and what I learned in that struggle. So the beauty of imperfection, things don't have to be perfect. And that's also a hard one for me because I struggle with perfectionism. And it is the reminder to me and to self and to I don't want to say lower my standards, but know that things don't always have to be on 10 for them to be okay. Um, so that is the beauty of starting over, and the beauty in imperfection. Um, out here at this, and where I said resilient, so beauty in imperfection. So I hired somebody so I have a mailbox here. I haven't had a mailbox. I haven't had my own mailbox since before I built the tiny house. I have used UPS stores for mailboxes because I've been on somebody else's property. And so I've not wanted to um, connect my information with somebody else's address. So I've always used UPS stores for my address. Here I have a mailbox. And so I was really excited about having a mailbox. And I hired a contractor, a young girl who, I don't want to say young girl because I'm assuming she's in her 30s or so. She has a business. I met her at Lowe's. I hired her to install my mailbox, and for whatever reason she installed the mailbox, but it was at an angle. It wasn't straight to the street, it was at an angle. And by the time I came over and saw it, it was already, the concrete had already settled. And like I don't know why that wasn't on the top of the list for making sure the mailbox was flush to the street. And she asked me when I said, is this crooked? And so she said, she realized it was. I guess she hadn't paid attention. And so she said, is that okay? But at that point, it was kind of like, well, what are you going to do at this point? Because the concrete has set. And so by the time, so she kept working on it, and I kept trying to deal with it. And I finally said to her, I said, no, that's not okay. I do want the mailbox to be flush to the straight to the street. And I asked her to think about ways to fix it without necessarily having to pull it out of the concrete. And she came back and installed a light. I asked her, had she considered how to do it? And she said she had a solution for it, and she'd come back and fix it. And so I haven't seen her since. She was supposed to come back one Sunday and reached out and said she was sick and asked could she reschedule. And I think that's been about 3 weeks ago. And so I fixed it myself. I didn't pull it out of the concrete. I cut it down at the base, and I used a thing I found in Lowe's. I have no idea, and some Simpson strong ties. I think all of the pieces are made by Simpson, and I've talked about them. Simpson strong ties are key to tiny house builds. They manufacture things that are used in the building of bridges to keep things together. Strong ties, Simpson strong ties, and the the way I've figured out how to fix it, I really just walked around Lowe's looking at stuff, and this is um, that's one of the things that I have mastered over the years is just walking around Lowe's looking at stuff, trying to figure out if this would do what I wanted it to do. and I found 3 things in Lowe's that would work and did what I wanted to do. For me, that it was not that I couldn't deal with the imperfection. Maybe it was I couldn't deal with the imperfection, like it just didn't make sense for me for my mailbox to be crooked on the street. Maybe it was beneficial for the um, post is the post um, the post woman, but it didn't work for me. So outside of that, that's like less about the perfection. And when I think about that is kind of resilience, figuring things out when people don't do what they're supposed to do, and figuring it out so that I can fix it if I need to. Um, let's see. Robert says, when dealing with contractors, do you sometimes feel you're getting the extra black tax or she tax, or do you look up the normal labor rate for your specific job? Um, Contractors are altogether a challenge. And I don't think it's a surprise. It's not a surprise to say, um, I think people who deal with contractors, if you're working with a white contractor, you know you're going to pay the most money, but the work might be done well. And that's a stretch because I'm not saying all white contractors are good, but there's a thought around that. Black contractors, I'm probably gonna get dinged for all of this. Black contractors sometimes cost a lot. Um, might not come through. Sometimes it's iffy. Hispanic contractors usually are cheaper, quicker, and will mostly get the work done. But this time I ran up on some that didn't know what the hell they were doing. Um, Fortunately, I have some black contractors who I've worked with for now that I've worked with maybe for the last 6 years. And I kind of go back to them. And so I have a relationship with them. Um, the black tax, there absolutely is a black tax in you. I know my costs are going to be more because I'm black or a woman, because a lot of times men assume that you just don't know and they can charge you whatever. And that goes, contractors, that goes with repairs, car repairs, all this stuff. What I have tried to lean into in this process is getting multiple quotes. This time it was funny to me because as I was getting multiple quotes for the plumber, 2 of them showed up at the same time. Even though I had scheduled them differently, they came through at the same time. And it worked out well because then they both knew I was comparing prices. I kind of, it felt awkward for me in the beginning, but then it was like, well, y'all have to know people are shopping prices. That is kind of the way that I have been navigating the space of contractors. um, Reviews, I always say do the due diligence, and then getting multiple quotes um, is how I come up with the labor rates. um, WLJ says, I'm moving in faith to trust the process. I'm finding it necessary to say some of the difficult things out loud in order to break free. I agree with that. I do a lot of talking out loud. Like, I feel like talking out loud is a big piece of manifestation, getting stuff outside of your head and out in the world. Um, trust the process. Absolutely. Um, Linda says, you have moved your home, traveled, and chat with us on a weekly basis. You must know you're still being blessed constantly. Thank you. That's one of the things on my list. Thank you. Absolutely. Um, oh, congratulations, Sophia. Um, Referrals. So Sophia saying referrals, reviews and referrals. Even with referrals, I still do multiple reviews because sometimes through referrals, it can still be hit or miss. If they did a good, if they didn't do the exact same thing that they're going to do for you, they may have installed blah 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 well, but then your job is different and they might not be able to do that job. So I still do reviews with referrals, but that's an excellent way as well. um WLJ, I see your comment. Living for yourself is important. Hi, Teresa. I'm sorry your YouTube is delayed. I don't know that has is anything relative to me. Let me know if y'all are getting ads this time, because I did something different with the setup. I know last week y'all kept getting a bunch of ads, but I did something different with the setup. Hi, Cassandra, Sonia. Um, I see the conversation about black businesses. I absolutely want to support black businesses. That is my go-to. Like I said, my contractors that I'm working with now are black businesses, but I also don't want to, like, I think this is what I feel like for contractors. I feel like black businesses don't always get the work. We know that. And so when they are coming out to do some work, I feel like sometimes the prices are trying to make up for, they don't often get the jobs. And so the prices are a little bit higher. That doesn't always work for my budget. If it's not too high, then, or based on other comparisons, then I can go that route. But if it's um, really high, I had a word to start with an A and I lost it. Um, well, maybe an E. I can't, like, I also have to look out for my budget. My preference is to support black business, absolutely. But I also know that I have to honor my budget as well. So there's the challenge in there, in that. Um, I love that, Charlene. Um, Stephen is saying you're right. I had a black painter and he wasn't that great, but I was trying to give a black person the job. Absolutely. Um, thank you, Rosalind. Hilarious. You do have to do your homework with contractors. Absolutely. Hi, Crystal. I hope you are feeling better. Um, Thank you, Crystal. We are, as Crystal is reminding you to Cash App or Zelle, I'm also reminding you that everything you send today, I am given to Judy, our community member who lost her home. So, Cash App, Venmo, do the things so that we can support her. Okay, so no ads. Okay, good. So now I know what to do to eliminate ads. Hi, Diane. Good, good, good. Astronomically, I think that was the word I was looking for. Thank you, thank you. But there was another one I also had. Arnell, take care. Thank you for joining. Um, so yes, that is the beauty of imperfection, the beauty of starting over. That's number 5. Number 6 uh, is that, and again, this list is things that I've learned in this tiny house journey, kind of like I've said, the chicken soup for the soul, things that are life lessons. That number 6 is that small or incremental things and changes can make a major difference. It doesn't always have to be big change to make a major difference. And that's a life lesson. Like, we're thinking, I got to get a new job. Let me see if I can work that one out. Maybe it is changing your hours. Maybe it is moving to a different department. Maybe it is changing your mindset so that you're not as invested in the job. That doesn't, I mean, so that you're taking care of you. A lot of times I know that I've given 100% to a job and my teammates ain't given 100%, and I've scaled back and I feel better. So that might not be the best example, but small incremental changes from the house perspective. For me, small incremental changes are like changing the shower curtain, or painting. Shower curtains aren't that expensive. Paint isn't astronomically, thank you, Sadiq, expensive. Adding some plants. Um, Changing the flooring. And of course, my expenses are less because it's a smaller space. But small things can make a big difference from a perspective change. Sometimes it, for me, is reconfiguring things in the house, moving something from that area to another area, and then it shifts the room, it shifts the perspective. Small incremental changes, things can make a big difference, can make a major difference. In a health perspective, and again, speaking to myself, people talk about walking, how you don't have to start out with major workouts. Start small, start walking, yeah, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, incrementally improve it. Small incremental changes make a big difference. And that is a life lesson, from design, decor changes, um, where I say my house anchors me. There, even the addition that I added to the house, and I incrementally changed it. When I a few years later, I covered the porch, screened in the porch and covered it. It wasn't that way in the beginning. Incrementally changing, like everything doesn't have to be on 10 all at once. Incrementally changing it can make a big difference. So yeah, that's number 6. Yes, Crystal, I agree. Okay, Charlene says, seems some folks will try you, and if they do, or if they can't get over, but what you put in the universe usually circles back to you. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Um, Rosalind is saying, we're still talking about contractors. I also always get a separate materials and labor list with contractors, and I go get the materials myself to prevent them for upcharging me. Absolutely. I think I shared the other week how, like for the plumber, I will do the trenching, because trenching costs. If a plumber has to do the trenching because it's labor intensive, he's going to charge you labor intensive. He's going to charge you a lot of money. You can rent a trencher for a couple $100, maybe even less, for 4 hours and trench it yourself. One of the things doing the trenching myself has offered me is the opportunity to map out how I want things set up for the house. And so there's some value in doing some of that myself, in addition to the fact that it saved me a whole bunch of money. So yeah. um WLJ is saying I only get ads during the lives on the weekday. I I don't know. Well, I'll try. We'll see. But I did try to set it up differently today, so I'm hoping that helped. Um, Number 7. Yes, we're on number 7. Measure. What is the saying? Measure twice, cut once. That is a saying for building. That you once you cut the wood, cut the board, cut the whatever, you can't undo that cut. And so if you haven't measured it twice, if you haven't carefully ensured that the where it needs to be cut, the length, the measurement is accurate, then you're going to mess something up. You're going to waste the board. Being off a half an inch matters. Being off a quarter of an inch matters. So measure twice, cut once. I'll double check something quadruple time. So it's a quadruple check, because it's important to, especially when it's something like, wood, or doing something that can't be undone. So measure twice, cut once. That's important for building, but it's also important for things like impulses and making decisions. Slowing down as you're thinking through things, pausing, stopping, and listening, and not just charging through as you're making decisions, making moves, and doing things. Measure twice and cut once. And so it's not just applicable to building, but also a life lesson. Measure twice, cut once. That's really important to slow down. And like WLJ said a few minutes ago, trust in the process and listening. If you're moving too fast, if you don't have the pause, if you're not stopping, then you're not listening to the direction, and that's how you make wrong decisions, make wrong turns, make bad choices. So measure twice, cut once. Number 8, drowning out the naysayers and drowning out the negatives. A life lesson from my tiny house, but also in whatever your dream, your aspiration is. Drowning out the naysayers, drowning out the negatives. Be careful who you share your dreams with. I shared how I got a couple of no's in the beginning for building the tiny house. The guy who told me if I moved the house, it was going to be substantial damage. Not saying don't listen to experts, but don't take the first no. Don't let naysayers, people who don't really know, knock you off a plan, a dream. The other thing that I have learned is delete is so powerful. This tiny house journey has helped me with that, because I get so many comments on things I share. I always get the racism comments because I'm talking to our community, encouraging our community to be here in the movement. I'm focused on our community, even though the things I'm talking about aren't just for our community. Somebody else could benefit from them if they wanted to. I used to, and very rarely, respond to different things, different comments. And now I have gotten to just deleting, because I don't want to expend the energy in responding for most things. It is, to me, is somewhat funny now, because especially when somebody has written a lot of words. Oh my God. I love it when somebody has written a lot of words, because I feel like, especially on Instagram, because you can't really backspace and clear, and once the message starts getting long, you can't see the beginning part, or you can't see what you're responding to. So it takes a lot of effort to write a long thing on Instagram. And it brings me joy to just hit delete, because I think about the effort that person put into writing that long, whatever it was, that long, nasty message, or that long, how I should do something differently message. And I just hit delete. And then I imagine that they come back and look for their message, or see if I responded, and then they can't even find their message. So that brings me some joy, in a twisted way. But delete is powerful. Delete on a keyboard, delete in moving people, places, and things out of your life. Delete is powerful. One of my big bonuses from this journey, drowning out the negative, drowning out the naysayers, and delete is powerful. And then number 9, let me see. Let's see if there's anything I need to address. Mark, Sarah, Mara. I think I said Sarah, Mara. The more jobs, the more experience in that field. You can never get the experience if no one hires you, right? Absolutely. And that is why I try to patronize Black businesses as much as possible. Absolutely. I agree with that. But at the same time, if that business's estimate is a lot more than other estimates, I can't always support Black business. I'm the person that's going to say, hey, I got some estimates that came in at this. Can you get a little closer to that? And I'm going to try to give them the option of trying to come down a little bit, but I also have to, like I said, honor my budget. But I agree with you absolutely. Um, I love catching blessings. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Um, let's see. Yeah, once cut is cut. That's absolutely measure twice, cut once. Um, listening to direction. Absolutely. WLJ says, I don't know what's involved in trenching, but I think it's badass that you did it. I'm fearful of putting air in my tire because I don't want it to explode in my face. You'd have to put an absorbent, I think that was the word I was trying to come up with, absorbent amount of air in a tire for it to blow up, WLJ. Um, and with a tire, with putting air in the tire, most of the time the little, first you know how much air you're supposed to put in it from the, either on the side of your door, it tells you how much air your tire should have, or on the tire itself tells you PSI, how many pounds of pressure that tire should have. And then on some of the air pumps, they tell you the amount of air. So you should see a number. And if that's not, if the air pump doesn't have that, then you buy one of those tire pressure things and you put it on there and the little stick comes out, and they might have some newer models now. The little stick thing comes out to tell you how many pounds of pressure you have in that. And you just do it incrementally. That's like my note a few minutes ago. Small changes, do it incrementally, do it slow. It's not going to blow up in your face. You just don't put it on there and just keep blowing, blowing, blowing. Um, but so I didn't trench this time. I hired a friend of mine to trench, but I have trenched before. Absolutely. My and my When I set out to trench, I said out loud, as WLJ says, I said out loud, my goal here is to leave with all of my fingers and toes. And I did. Trenching isn't, the machine isn't, so I rent the bigger one. You just really are pushing it. It's almost like vacuuming, except you make sure you're standing behind it. Here the ground isn't that hard, so it was it's it was easier. Out at the farm there was a lot of rock in that ground, so if it's a lot of rock, that makes it harder. But trenching is, it's not that bad. But you can absolutely put air in a tire. um Robert is saying some naysayers are the friends who don't want to see you succeed. Absolutely. And that is why we are very cautious about who we share our dreams with. Absolutely. JW is saying that delete button can save your mental health. Absolutely. Delete, 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 delete. Hi, Wayne. Welcome. Hi, Katrina. I'm happy you say a little bit when you're here. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. They do make digital gauges. I figured that they did. Um, all right. So drown out the negative, drown out the naysayers. Be careful who you share your dreams with. And delete is powerful. People, places, things, comments, all of the things. So that's number 8, that from this tiny house journey. And then number 9, and Krista, I saw you saying something a few minutes ago about downsizing and decluttering. Number 9 is that for me. The benefits of decluttering and downsizing regularly, and the liberation and lightness in that. So, as I was packing up the house, my intention was to go through things and downsize and declutter and not carry stuff over unnecessarily. It didn't happen. Um, I wasn't in the mindset to do it. I had so many things I was trying to get done, um, and was in the place of con- concern, some fear. There was some real fear. I shared that where, um, oh, excuse me, moving. I am so sorry. Moving the house. There was some concern in doing that. So I wasn't in the best mindset to pack that and do the decluttering and downsizing at the process at that time. Now that I'm here, and as I am, and as the reattachment is happening slowly, it's given me time to downsize and declutter. I haven't really um, gone through my clothing well in maybe a couple of years, or I have more clothes than I normally have. Um, Stuff can grow under your bathroom counters. I have some shelving, like stuff grows in your shelving where you're not looking through all of the stuff. And so I'm in like I almost want to say a nesting space. Like this place is so calm, and it is, um, as I'm getting the house back together and working on shoring up the piece that my house is. I'm in this decluttering and downsizing process because it is lighter. There's so much lightness in less. And for me, having more stuff is kind of like it's on your shoulders because you know it's around in the atmosphere. And so, decluttering and downsizing. And I've shared how over the years that process of decluttering and downsizing has helped me in my travel so that I can um, travel with a backpack, and I can travel with a backpack for a week or more of travel, so, or a carry-on, a backpack and a carry-on for multiple weeks. So there is a lot of liberation, same thing, lightness, ease in taking stock of things. That is also in life, not just physical things, people, places, and things. Um, Letting go of things, letting go of ideals, letting go of bad memories, letting go of bad habits, all of that in the downsizing and decluttering process. Crystal is saying less stuff gives her energy and mental clarity. Absolutely. That's that lightness and liberation. Absolutely. Um, so that's number 9. That from, and I didn't go, again, I never say I'm a minimalist. Y'all know I'm not a minimalist. But I have less. And when stuff starts to get heavy, I can feel it. And that for me is also the metaphor for my life. When stuff starts to get heavy, when stuff is disorganized, that is also the metaphor for life for me. And so that's number 9. Thank you, friends with Gigi. I appreciate that. Oh, Teresa said some new cars, when you put air in the tire, the car horn beeps when the pressure is right. Clearly, fancy new cars. Um, all right. Impressive. I don't know that I'll ever have one of those cars. Maybe I'll rent one and see that. Well, I don't want to have to put air um in the tires of a rental. Um, Wayne said, with the high cost of home purchase now and climate change, the fires in California, there needs to be more building of tiny homes, earth homes, etc. I agree with that 100%. I've seen some things. on social media talking about the material that is used in building homes. I've, so many of those homes were old homes, especially like we know the black community there has really been impacted there. Um, and it's a community that is an old community that black people were able to have access to during redlining and when they couldn't get access in other neighborhoods. So that's really sad that those are the majority of the homes that have been lost. Um, but and when I spoke to Judy was mentioning that she's always wanted to build a tiny house, so she's saying that's what her thought process is after this loss. Um, we do have to think differently. There's so many climate change deniers and those things, but the we have to think differently. I agree with that. Carolina Care Community is saying letting go is giving me more freedom. Absolutely, there's a lot of freedom in letting go. Um, Crystal, we're sending you love. Um, yeah. Okay, so I'm reminding you all again that um, anything you give today, we're donating it to, I'm donating it, you all are donating to Judy, one of our community members who lost her home in California. All right, so number 9 was the benefits of decluttering. And then number 10 is community. And I think I saw you say something about community also, Crystal. For me, this journey has um, helped solidify the need and the importance of community. Early on, it was the community I needed to support the planning of building my tiny house. People who had done it, people who are familiar with the process, people who understood the desire for a tiny house. Because when I remind you all, when I built my tiny house, most people just thought I was crazy, and it wasn't a thing. So lessons learned and being able to connect with people who were like-minded was absolutely a great thing. And then as I moved through the movement and the challenges experienced with racism in locations, racism within the movement, um, then the opportunity to build community and to support people who look like me in the movement so that they wouldn't experience the things that I've experienced, and building a community so that I could support other people um, in the movement. Um, so community has been a big thing. And then over this last year, um, it became even more important. And the again, takeaway from the journey, the the knowing that, learning that people will show up. It might not be the people you expect to show up, but people will show up. And the fact that vulnerability and asking, and these are big things that I'm not I'm not the asking piece of it. The vulnerability I'm not that bad at, but the asking for help, where they ask, the putting the needs out there. Um, and the asking piece of it, like, has worked for me in my tiny house build. When I've been able to get sponsors to sponsor different parts of the build. That's just the asking, putting it out there and asking. They either can say yes or no. um, but then in a supportive community outside of things like sponsors, or even sponsors or locations, asking about locations. When I first started out my build, and I shared that I'd ride around and look at people's people who had properties that I knew my house could fit on, and I'd just write them a letter, or put it on Craigslist, and that worked. Um, the asking, the putting it out there. There's some vulnerability in it, things that aren't as personal. The vulnerability doesn't feel as bad, but when it's personal, like I've shared my health journey with you all, and support that I've received. I've shared when Stephanie Perry came and stayed with me, took care of me for my first surgery, and covered things. And I didn't ask. I just was talking about something I was experiencing, and she showed up. That was a big, 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 big thing for me. It is something that I know I do, but not necessarily seeing that or having experienced that in other people. And then it happened. And so that kind of has, that not kind of, that shifted my perspective of community, and what real community is and can be. So that's number 10, community, the importance and need for community. If you ask, people will show up. The right people will show up. The asking, the vulnerability in asking, and in sharing. And so the piece of that in community and sharing, I have, because I've been so open about my journey with the mini stroke, I've had several people reach out to say, I went to the doctor, or I changed something. I'm no longer dealing with stress, or I advocated for myself. I changed my job. I had some woman who was actually in the hospital, had just had a mini stroke, and through my hashtag, she found me, and she said it was encouraging to her for me to have shared what my experience was. And she was in the hospital, had just had a mini stroke. I've had several people connect from Instagram because I've shared my story. And if the sharing in community has helped someone else navigate or not have to navigate, that is a big bonus for me, because I feel like oftentimes we're suffering in silence, or we're experiencing things in silence that other people are experiencing, where we could form community and help each other out. Um, so there's some community in sharing. The My therapist reminded me the other day that I needed a support group for a stroke support group, and I forgot I'd already joined one on Facebook. And so I went in the group, and some of the things that like I've shared with you all, the emotional control. I saw a woman in there talking about the fact that she's more angry now, and she can't seem to control it. Thankfully, mine isn't anger, mine is tears, mine is crying, but it validated that what I was experiencing I wasn't alone, that it is part of this. And there were like two or three other things that I'm over here experiencing, but I had forgotten about it. And these people were in community sharing, then again, I'd still think I was out here alone. So there's so much value in community. That's right, Sophia. Um, Welcome, Wallace. Thank you. Glad you're here. Welcome. So community, and that's a big thing. We need community. I've shared, as we move into these new days and times, we're going to need community even more. And that's number 10. One of the big things that has been a metaphor for this tiny house journey. That is a life lesson. All right, people. That was number 10. So number 1, doing hard things. Number 2, take the risk. Think outside the box. I'll put the list in the video description. Number 3, prioritizing and protecting my joy, peace, wellness, and liberation. Prioritizing myself, basically. the need for us to prioritize ourselves. Trusting the journey, the process, trusting myself. That's number 4. Number 5, the beauty of starting over as many times as you need to and want to, and the beauty of imperfection. Number 6, how small and or incremental things and changes can make a big difference. It doesn't always have to be a big change. Um, Number 7, measure twice, cut once, and that applies to building and it applies to life things. Slow down, pause, stop, listen. 8, drown out the negative and the naysayers. Be careful who you're sharing your dreams with. Delete is powerful. Delete people, places, and things. Delete in comments, delete in people, delete in I don't go to this place anymore because I don't feel good there. Delete is powerful. Number 9, the benefits of decluttering and downsizing regularly. The liberation and the lightness in that, and the benefit of clarity, as Crystal pointed out. And then number 10, community, the importance and need for community. All right. Those are the 10 things that I had today. Absolutely, Crystal. Absolutely. All right, good people. It's 1:12. I did good because usually we're on here a couple of hours. What else y'all got before I get out here and do some work? We got some snow on Friday night, Saturday morning. The temperature came up, and so there's only really snow in or ice in the shadows. What's the word I want to use? Shady areas. That's what I wanted to say. That was also on the list. Someone said the word recall and name recall, even folks that you really know. So that was in that support group other people are experiencing. One of the things that came from that group for me is that it was a benefit from that group because I had a mini stroke, and that's the one that's that's the one that has less impact. Absolutely has less impact, but it doesn't mean you don't have impact at all. And so still knowing that something has happened and honoring that is important. So another benefit for community. Um, Very welcome. Very welcome. Um, all right, good people. I have been enjoying sitting in the house and sitting in different places doing because normally I would sit at my desk and do have this conversation, but I have been sitting in the house in different places in the house. Um, Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed the list. Rosin has been cooking in her house during this event. Not me. I did snack, but I ended up throwing the snacks out because I was like, this ain't going in the direction that you needed to be going in. So I wasn't cooking, but I was snacking. Sadiq is asking, how are my neighbors? It's quiet out here, so I have um, a neighbor whose house I can see. Crystal's getting ready to get you, Robert. Um, and this is her property that I'm on, and she has a dog. I really enjoyed talking to her. Really, she's a bonus for this location. And then some of her family is out here, so it's more of waving and saying hello. I've had a couple of conversations with her brother. It's quiet out here, but I have people around me, so it's nice. Um, they're out in the neighborhood. There's a lot of it's one house that has at least 6 Confederate flags in the yard, like overkill. Like, do you need that many Confederate flags? A lot of Trump signs out and about. But as I've said, it's not a rural area. It's more suburban. It's not city, but it's also not rural like I was. So it's kind of in between, but still a lot of that. Like, it's interesting. And we were talking about this. Like, I don't know of any other president where people had signs with the president's name on it. This is a new thing, but there are a lot of signs out here. Um, Cultist thing for me, but whatever. Um, but it's I'm very close to grocery stores, and I can get out, and I actually could walk to it. Like I was thinking, during the snow, I actually could walk to a store if I needed to. So the neighborhood is really nice, and my neighbors. Um, MBE review coach. Good afternoon. Welcome. Or can anyone recommend a reputable? Thank you, WLJ. Tiny home on foundation builder. I don't know any contractors in that area. And you're going to have to go through the building process with the city or the county that you're in. My suggestion would be to search the socials for a builder in the area. Interview Craigslist might be a resource. You have to do your due diligence and do some interviewing. Ask people in your area for referrals, because you want somebody local who knows how to deal with your city county officials, and somebody who can you can get some referrals from locally so that they can be there, to do the work. So I don't know anybody in that area. I don't know that anybody in this community is close to that area. But asking friends, if you're on social media, putting the question out there to ask um, people to give you referrals is probably going to be the best way to find somebody. Good luck to you. Thank you, Crystal. Oh, Robert, you're so funny to me. Um, oh, thank you, V. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I knew Crystal was going to get you, Robert. And Teresa. Um, yes, indeed. Uh, does this mean you can get a wife hookup? I don't know what that means, Sadiq. Um, Wallace said, I feel like I'm cluttered when I'm surrounded by clutter. It definitely is a freeing process and shows you what's actually important. Absolutely. Bonus of decluttering makes me more creative. You get your mind is free to think and it's not cluttered, and physical clutter leads to cluttering of the mind. I agree with that 100%. All right, good people. Happy Sunday. I got work to do. Um, I hope everybody has a great week. Um, Robert, I told you they were going to get you. Have a good week. Happy Sunday. Thank you all for joining as always. So appreciate it. Thank you to the new folks for joining and jumping in the conversation and saying hello. We appreciate that you're here. Again, a reminder to if you share some love, I am sharing it with Judy, our community member who lost her home in the fires in Cali. And absolutely royal. Thank you. Love you too, Crystal. Hope you're feeling a lot better. All right. All right. Happy Sunday. Thank y'all. Take care.